I think. Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing absolutely wonderful by choice.
Great.
So yeah, so it says when we hit this right here, that oh yeah, that's good. Hit. Okay. Okay. Cool. So are you at home?
Work. I work at Ohio State now in athletics, so I'm
I didn't know that. What do you do in the athletic department?
so I work, well, they Ohio State does this thing where they hire athletes to work on like a 2-year rotation after you graduate. So I'm in one area for 1 year and then another year.
Oh,
So
that
this
is
right
so
now, it
fire.
is it is fire. It is sweet. So right
You-
now I'm in development.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's really cool. I love it. It's sweet.
So tell me how do you pronounce your full name?
Kami Kortokrax. Yeah, that's
Hey,
good. That's good.
okay. Kami Kortokrax.
That was
Well,
good.
okay, all right. Man. Well, you ready to do this?
Yes, I am.
All
Thanks for
right.
having me.
Thank you, no problem. Kami Kortokrax.
That's good.
She played and she attended the Ohio State University. I have to say the part, right? So the Ohio State University Division One softball, Big Ten all freshman team, 2022 honors, named all Big Ten teams, first all Big Ten team selection. That's huge. Wow, congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Was recognized for both offensive production, defensive performance during her time at Ohio State. Native of Westerville. I love that. But attended Bishop Hartley. That's a nice little drive, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. My dad worked there, so I
Okay.
got to ride my dad to school every day.
Man, can you imagine walking down the hall like, hey, heard you got a B minus or a C in your class there.
Oh, he was the dean of students too. So if I were to get in, yeah, yeah. So I stayed out of trouble.
Man, so we were talking off the air about because we're talking about after college now, and you are continually involved in athletics but at Ohio State they have an actual rotation program where they bring on former athletes and kind of get them immersed into the corporate life, get them their actual skill set things aligned up for a 2-year rotation, which I think is absolutely phenomenal. I didn't even know that existed. So that is huge. And we're going to maybe talk about that a little later on. But what I want to do now is I really want to talk about you and your transition and your elevation from, growing up, we can talk about your faith and everything else that you want to talk about as well, and how you're able to make it to and through the transition of a student athlete, a servant of God, and what you're doing now in the advice. Tell me about this world changer. Tell me about you and how God has blessed you and the evolution, and how it transcended into not only academics but sports.
Yeah, God has blessed me in so many ways, but obviously it starts with the foundation He allowed me to come into the world to with my mom and dad.
Mhm.
My parents really set the foundation for my faith, and they allowed me just to love life and fall in love with sports. And my mom played softball in high school. My dad played basketball and baseball. He played all the sports. He actually went to the NBA summer league when he was a big, like, he loved basketball. So yeah, I played basketball in high school too. So big sports family. And to my family, it was really important. They just allowed me to love the sport, and it became something that I wanted to do as long as I could. And so then we started looking into what that looked like. And my parents invested everything that they could in me with time, money, teams, travel, everything, anything that they could to help me chase this dream of continuing to play softball. And my grandpa always said, like, if you're going to do something, you might as well try to be the best at it, or else why are you going to do it? And
Right.
so it was really motivating. And but he also said, like, all you can do is give your best. Sometimes that's not going to be enough, but if you give your best, and just it's exciting to see how far that can get you. So really my parents set the foundation of just like pouring into me, and I just wanted to keep growing. So I started playing on a national softball team in high school and ended up getting multiple D1 offers, and I just realized there's no place I'd rather be than home. My coach at the time wrote me a letter that said I had the option to be a hometown hero at Ohio State, and no other school offered me that. And it really just embodied what was important to me about my parents being at every single home game. Or they're the two people on best of me more than anyone, and them being able to just watch me those last 4 years are just such a huge blessing.
Wow. That is absolutely wonderful. That's powerful. You mentioned off the air that your father worked at the same high school that you were at. He was the dean of students. And tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, no. I mean, I look back at it and I remember arguing with my mom. I still have my mom still has me on Life 360 and I'm 23 years old. Like it's just funny because like my parents just always want what's best for you when you're younger. It seems like controlling or overboard or helicopter. But I look back at it now. It's such a blessing to have two parents that were so involved in my life that really steered me the right way when times maybe I didn't want to go that way. They did know most of the time what was best, but my mom's my loudest supporter and she has truly become one of my best friends in life, and my dad's just always been my hero. So he like they've never given me excuses. They've always been like, well, you know what, bottom line, work harder, and they've always supported me through everything. Like, and my dad, like, yeah, there was no getting in trouble with my dad at my school, so I just never want to see his office. And he was the varsity head basketball coach too, so I hung around like the boy athletes a lot, and so that pushed me to be better, but it also taught me a lot about boys. And my dad's like, stay away. I'm like, I will stay away. So so it was funny.
So we also talked briefly off air about your faith, and so or I'm sorry, was it something that you had a chance encounter with, or is it something that your parents instilled in you? And how did it help you make all of these amazing transitions?
Yeah, so my parents definitely instilled in faith in me growing up, a sense of gratefulness for everything I had and just for God's grace always being good, and just understanding that no matter how bad I want something, surrendering that to what God has in store, and trusting that that's going to be better. It's kind of the mindset that I had to learn the hard way, because it sounds great and all when you're growing up, but then when you get to college, man, you really are out there on your own. So my freshman year, I got to Ohio State, and I ended up by chance seeing some gymnast post about this athlete Bible study, because she was making a joke about how Justin Fields left the group chat, and so she wasn't in the group chat with Justin. And I was like, wait a minute, like what is this group chat though? Like it was athlete Bible study, and I was like, what are the chances of this? I'm like, is this still going on? So I went and tried it out with my other friend that was a freshman, and then ever since that first time, if I was able to make it, we were there every day. And it was just really set a huge foundation in me, along with other people going through, all athletes that really had the priority of, yes, we had schoolwork, yes, we were had exams, yes, we had practices and lifts and games and everything, but at the end of the day, like our priority was going to meet once a week and talk about God and how good he's been in our lives, and learn from so many people who've experienced them through the athletic department, coaches, strength coaches, athletes, like everybody. It's been an amazing way to connect with just sisters and brothers in Christ and just grow my faith that way. And people, if you look at my stats on paper, they all got better as I went on. And it's not like a miracle of like, I worked harder, harder, harder. And like in my heart, I believe I truly worked as hard as I could every year. I believe in hard work and dedication and work for what you get. And so I worked as hard as I could freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, senior year. But the change was when I got to Ohio State, I was chasing being an amazing softball player. And I was a softball player that happened to be a Christian. And everyone was always like, wait till your next season, wait till your next season. And at the end of my sophomore, so my freshman year, I had a good season, wait till next year. Sophomore year, have a good season. And everyone's always like, wait till next year. And I got this feeling, I'm like, I'm halfway through, and I'm starting to realize like I could have always had a better season no matter what on the field. I could have always had a better at batting average, at a better fielding percentage. And it was just an exhausting feeling of chasing like that type of fulfillment, because it was never going to be fulfilled. I was always going to, could have been better in that category. And I really sat and thought about and prayed about what I wanted to be remembered for. God really spoke to me. He told me like, whatever you do in the field, someone else is going to come and do. Someone else is going to be the next shortstop at Ohio State when you leave after these 4 years. Someone else is going to be the clutch 3 or 4 hole. Like someone else is going to do whatever you can do on the field. Like what can you do that's going to make a lasting impact in his name? And so started a Bible study on the team. I prayed before every game with my teammates who wanted to down. We knelt before the foul line. Just being able, I spoke at churches. I posted way more about my faith. I prayed over little girls I talked to after games. It was just my whole mindset changed, and that's what really allowed me to excel the second half of my college career. It was a mindset change in my faith. It was a change of heart of just knowing like I want to chase something that I really truly can pour myself into. And yes, I was pouring myself into softball, but it made failing so much easier when I knew that my worth wasn't in what I was doing on the field. And it made being able to pick my other teammates up so much easier when I knew that they needed me more than I needed to be pouting about what I was doing. And it allowed me to make connections and relationships, and it allowed me to really fulfill the role model role that ended up being one of my favorite things about being a softball player at Ohio State, and just my whole faith really shaped who I ended up being and who I am today. And like, I can't be more grateful that God stopped me halfway through and was like, hey, like, let's really think about what you're chasing here and what you want. And so, like, I still worked as hard as I could in the weight room at practices, but I knew at the end of the day, like, my worth was in His name, and I had so much to be grateful for, and I could be doing way more to fulfill His purpose and what I was doing.
So I heard something that was so simple yet so profound. What you said earlier was that you were a softball player who happened to be a Christian. Is that correct?
Right? Yes.
But listening to you talk, it sounds as if you made a switch. And the switch was, I'm a Christian who happens to play softball.
Right.
That, like,
100%.
yeah. So it's like, well, wait a second now. That's a really, really, really profound switch. Because I was just thinking about that earlier today. I was like, you know what? I'm, blah, 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 and I'm a Christian versus, it needs to be all that I do. And it needs to infect and affect all that I do. And it sounds like you made that switch and how everything changed at that moment. And that is so powerful. And this is what I'm seeing with a lot of athletes uh, is that they're now taking their faith and they're putting it on top, and they're making the sports aspect of the social aspect of their life secondary, and actually it's biblical because when you put other things on top of Christ, you have the chance of running into what's called idolatry. And
Right.
wow, that is so profound. Keep going with that, please.
Yeah, and like the other way I take that is like now, like when people ask me who I am and when people hear me, like the first thing I want people to think of is, or the most important thing, if not the first thing, is just my faith. And I've had great conversations with people about what I've done in the field or having a good game. And actually, it is God's timing, because it all started planting seeds long before that halfway mark. When my freshman year, I came out after a terrible game and I was just like, dude, I stink. Like, I was like, that was horrible. Oh for whatever, didn't get a hit, couldn't buy a hit. I don't even know how many errors. It was just a horrible game. And I came out of the locker room and all the little girls wait outside for all the players. And I had some social media following. And so I opened the door and these little girls started screaming. And I turned my head. I was like, who's walking out? I was like, and they're like, you did so good. I'm like, and what I wanted to say was, did you watch the game? No, just kidding. But it was just like a real life moment where it really like being those girls, all those little girls in the stands, like, yeah, they like watching you play, but they do not care about what you do. Like, they're looking for you in that moment to just like be a light no matter how I played. And like, there's so much deeper than just my stats on the field, which was cool. And the other huge thing is, like, I talked about me growing in my faith my junior and senior year, especially. I was able to um like fail way faster and also go through adversity way faster. My junior year, I was up to bat against Maryland on a Saturday, and I actually fouled the ball off my face, which was pretty impressive, I have to say.
Mm,
So I had a chin guard, but it completely missed and it hit me straight on my nose.
wow.
And I ended up shattering my nose, 6 stitches, mildly displaced, the whole thing. And during the game, and I went back there, I got stitches, and I was waiting forever to get stitches. I'm like, come on, I'm trying to go back in. And Gene Smith, our athletic director, like, he was at the game. He came all the way back in to check me. He's like, Kami, you're not going back in the game today. I'm like, bruh. He's like, you got to get concussion tests and like all this stuff. I'm like, okay, fine.
Wow.
But then it ended up bleeding out so much. Your face bleeds a lot, but it was like hours after I got stitches that they made me go back to the emergency room, and I was there till midnight. But my team played the next day, so I remember going back home and sitting in bed, and I couldn't take anything for the pain because they're afraid it would change the symptoms if I had a concussion.
Yeah.
So I couldn't take anything. So I remember just praying in bed and just thinking about how grateful I was still in a moment that so many people would probably look to as like, why would this happen to me? In my freshman year, I probably would have had that mindset. Why me? Why do you let this happen to me? But instead, how grateful am I to not be in a situation that could have been so much worse? And I was just grateful for the medical staff, grateful my parents were there, grateful my teammates cared so much, my coaching staff. Like, I had so much to be grateful for in that moment that I couldn't even see what was what basically how bad the situation or moment ended up being. And I just remember praying, and I played the next day. And I just told them, I said, God put on my heart I can play. And I remember being up to on deck, and I was like, God, what are you gonna let me do? Get hit in the face again? And I was like laughing with him. I had to wear a cage, obviously, like for medical purposes now, but I went up to bed, and God really just said, like, let me show you what happens when you trust me. Like my human mindset, I was like, just don't let me get hit. And God allowed me to go up there and hit a home run, my first at bat back that next day after being down, and we won by one. And it was just a crazy moment. And I remember I couldn't even get to first base, and I've got two hands pointing up to God because I was like, that was so not me. I couldn't tell you what pitch that was, where it was, what even just happened. Like I was just like, that was one of the most godly moments I ever felt, running around those bases. I just felt like he was right there carrying me, and it was really just like, and because everybody was like, how are you playing? How are you playing? How are you playing? And it was just the right in that moment, I just felt, I told you guys, God told me, I felt in my heart, God was telling me to play. And like, that's what happens. And I've just really leaned in that story a lot because that's a huge story, and I was able to do that because 100% because of the faith.
Wow. You want to know what makes, I'm about to get in trouble right here, but you know what makes, and this would be a great LinkedIn post too, right? You know what makes athletes probably superior in the workplace? This is, yeah,
What?
don't say what, because I want you to be just a innocent bystander. I'm about to, nothing can be tied to you, right? See, in the workplace, a lot of times we're taught to compartmentalize. Yeah, I come to work, it doesn't matter like how I feel, it doesn't matter what type of mindset I have. It's just you have to work and be productive and you go home, right? But
Yeah.
athletes, you can't do that. It's like you can't have your mind somewhere else and be playing a game. You have to be locked in. You have to be locked in physically. You have to be locked in the best shape of your life. You have to be locked in mentally. You got to know what you're doing, emotionally, psychologically, socially, and for believers, religiously, Christ centered, as the cog in the spoke that ties it all together. We play like that. Every aspect of our life is in motion, working in unison. That's how athletes reign superior. We understand that. So we understand when athletes after games say, you know what, it's Jesus, it's God. Why? Because that's how we play the game. And that's exactly what you said. The Lord said, I can play. I got to release the play. He set it up. You were carrying God the first, second, third base. You're carrying God up to bat everywhere you go, not only physically, mentally, socially, financially, spiritually. And that to me is the way we're supposed to live. And that's why I love to have athletes in the workplace playing at that high level, because we understand that it's all connected. How you do one thing sometimes is how you do everything.
100%. I 100% agree with you. And I look back when you were speaking, and I was thinking about who I was as a softball player and who I was in the office, like on the floor and stuff. And the parts of who I am it's consistent because my values are faith, passion, and commitment. And I built those over the years of just figuring out who I am. And in softball, that made me who I am. So why would I want to do anything without my faith, being passionate about it and getting energized and being a people connector, things like that. And then I really want to fully commit to whatever I'm doing. And so I 100% see what you're talking about. Like athletes, there's no on and off switch for who they are and how they pour themselves in. They're gonna do it how they've learned to do it, and they're gonna hope like that. I'm grateful. I'm in the athletic department. I love athletics, so it's easy for me to be passionate and pour myself into helping athletes. So I 100% see what you're talking about. How athletes, you're gonna get what you get with them.
Yeah, yeah. So now here comes the hard part for you. So imagine that you're the freshman athlete. It doesn't matter what sport. You're the freshman athlete who is an athlete who happens to be a Christian. What would you say that would encourage them to make the transition to being a believer who happens to play sports?
Yeah, I would basically have a conversation, and I would just tell them, think about your career already up to this moment, and think about how inconsistent your performance has always been.
Mm.
There's great highs, high highs, there's low lows, there's injuries, there's terrible hard workouts. There's moments where you just feel like you're that guy and you can't miss. But at the end of the day, there's wins, there's losses, there's barely anyone goes through an undefeated season. So it's just like there's lots of ups and downs in sports. And if you keep pouring yourself into that, you're going to be up and down, and your worth and your mental health and in your self-belief, everything is just going to keep riding that roller coaster that sports brings. And the only thing that I've ever found to be consistent and to ground me is my faith, because God is good all the time. And when you believe in that, it's so much easier to understand that no, whatever is happening to you, it's happening at his will, and there is a purpose in it, instead of just something bad going happening and it's like, why me, like why do I have to go through this? No, there's a purpose in it. Every situation you go through when you're a Christian, you understand like our God is a meaningful God, and he doesn't make you do anything just for fun or just because he feels like it. No, there's a purpose in every situation, so it's way easier to figure out what your purpose is and then to live that out. And no matter what you're going through, and no matter how bad you're playing, if you're in the starting lineup or not, if you're out on injury, like whatever it is, you can understand, if you build your faith up, that there's going to be a purpose, and it's going to allow you to make the most out of not only your athletic career, but it's going to allow you to make the most out of your teammates, those connections that you're with, the little girls or whoever looks up to you, anyone who looks up to you, and it's going to help you make the most out of the life that God's given you.
Kami, it has been an absolute blessing. Thank you for your testimony. Thank you for your faith. Thank you for your consistency. This is, wow, absolutely love it. Look forward to working with you later on. Actual proposition for you. I would love to hear your testimony in front of an audience. I don't know how comfortable you are with that.
I would love that.
Cool. That is the win. Kami, thank you so much. Do me a huge favor. Stay on for a couple seconds so we can get everything finalized, and keep winning. Keep winning, sister.
Thank you so much.
All right.